forward manner and continue its progress, which has moved along very nicely over the last several years in spite of COVID and other things. Thank you all for taking time to be here. I think everyone in this room has been vaccinated. So
recording in progress.
So if you are comfortable, feel free to remove your mask and whatever you're comfortable with. I know all of us masks get fuzzy after a while, and I think we're going to be here for a couple of hours, and so probably I would, if I were going to leave my mask on, I'd probably want a backup, because by the end of 2 hours, I'm ready for a new one. But anyway, I know the idea was to have everybody introduce themselves. I believe everyone at this table knows who they are. However, Bill and Carol Ann do not necessarily know everyone at the table. So Chief, if we could start over in your corner, just introduce who you are to them.
Tom Spell, the police chief, almost 6 years with Lewis, 35 in policing.
Ricardo Melendez, I'm department manager for maintenance, 20 years, department manager, year and a half.
Robin Davis, building department manager. I've been with the city for just over 7 years.
Good morning, I'm Janet Reeves. I'm the Parks and Marina Administrator, and I've been with the city since September of 2020.
Hi, my name is Khalil Saliba, and I serve on the Lewis City Council as of last May, so relatively new, and happy to be here. And happy to meet you. Thank you.
I'm Andrew Williams. I serve on City Council, and I think about a year and a half into the term, Tim and I were elected because of COVID. It was like July, so almost not quite 2 years in May.
I'm Ted Becker. I'm the mayor. I've been on City Council since 2004. Been mayor for the past 7 years.
Tim Richard, City Council.
That's it?
Yeah.
Carolyn Jones, City Council. It was a pleasure meeting you guys before. We look forward to this one.
Ellen Lorraine McCabe, Assistant City Manager and Finance Officer, and in April next year, it'll be 16 years for the city.
I'm Anne Marie Townsend. I'm the city manager. I've been here since April of 2017.
And the two people administratively who are walking around are Kayla. Introduce yourself.
Well, she doesn't have a mic, so.
She does, right there.
There you go.
My name is Kayla Pedrick, and I am the city clerk.
Great. And?
I'm Melody Gardner, and I'm the local government management fellow.
Great. Thank you very much. And I think this is a live broadcast, so we do have a couple of people on, looks like we have 3 people on Zoom, is that correct?
Yes. And let me just say that if you're on Zoom and you end up having sound issues, we think it has to do with that we're connected through Wi-Fi. The YouTube stream tends to have better sound.
Okay. So both Carol Ann and Bill are very experienced people in the state. Carol Ann's been a previous Department of Transportation Secretary, and Bill has been with the University of Delaware and all kinds of other things in the state. I'm not going to give all your background, but and I'm not sure I know all of your background, but they beg your pardon? Better that way, okay. Illustrative, okay, we'll put it that way. But we're very happy that you were willing to join us today. In the past, we've held these strategic sessions with and we found that facilitation is probably the best way to move forward and keep us on track so that we don't get mired too far off in the weeds. And I think in the little conversation I've had with Bill prior, we want to make sure that we stay on focus today. So without any further ado, Bill, Carol Ann, the floor is yours. We're here at your service today.
Very good. Thank you, Ted. Nice to meet all of you. Cahill, thank you for your patience the other night. You managed to hang in there via telephone, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was good.
Yeah, it was telephone/Zoom.
Good. All right, so I'm going to take the role here of setting up today, if you will, kind of giving an overview of where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. As you know, I do like my ground rules, and now your ground rules are in front of you. And I call them kitchen table ground rules. So basically it's, and Ted set this up. It's no hats, essentially, at this point in time. We've got the administrative side of the shop, and we've got the politics and policy side of the shop, and you're all working for the betterment of the city of Lewis, so no hats on that. Everybody's voice counts. Have a kitchen table conversation. It's everyone participates and no one dominates, and that's just common sense. But sometimes, I know you've all been in that experience where somebody just pretty much knows everything and you just want to shut them down. But, so just pay attention to that, be aware of that. No right answers, draw on your own experiences, values, and beliefs, because that's why you're where you are now. Keep an open mind, listen carefully. This is Mr. Covey, seek first, understand, and then be understood. Help keep the discussion on track. So it's up to you, it's up to you to kind of keep folks moving along. Ask a good question, get the answer, and move forward when you're working with others. And it's okay to disagree, just don't be disagreeable. That's fairly classic, but sometimes the passion gets ahead of us, and we can be quite disagreeable when it's important to us. So there you go. So if you turn the page, and I apologize if this offends anyone. And, but my background is not local government, okay? I mean, I've worked with local governments, but really to embed myself in the governance system, I'm not there. So I had to go back and do some researching on where we are. And this is a mayor, council, manager form of government, which essentially started pretty much, 30, actually not that long ago, 40?
Would it be
40 years
69?
Yeah,
Progressive area for you.
right.
And so essentially there's two sides of the shop. There's the elected office side of the shop, which essentially is politics, policy, and ensuring things get done. You represent the constituency. The other side of the shop is the shop that does things, okay? It's turned over to Anne Marie. Anne Marie has a staff to make sure the wheels don't fall off the bus. All right, so two distinctly different pieces. You folks, the council operates at a 5,000-foot level, right? You're not down there looking at the widgets on the bus and making sure all the lug nuts are tied and everything else. You're up here making sure that the policies are in place that will help guide Anne Marie in getting her staff to form the function that keep people in Lewis safe and quality of life is up to snuff. So I apologize for putting it up there, but I just wanted to set it down there as a foundational work. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, and it helps me because most of my work is with boards. And that board is kind of where you are. We set the policy, and other than it's up to staff to get the job done. So I apologize for that, but I just needed to put it out there for my sake more so than yours. So here's our agenda. So we're going to get through this introduction stuff, and then the first hour is pretty much going to be an operational review. I really want you to spend time seeing what the staff is doing, listening to what the staff sees as priorities, and then we're going to move much deeper into kind of looking down the road on where we need to be. All right, so we'll get through the operations piece at about, in an hour, take a break. And I'm sure, I think Caroline informed me that there would be coffee and donuts and fried egg sandwiches at the break, wasn't it?
So Rick, take care of that.
It is National Pastry Day.
Oh, man, there
I'll
you
go
go.
get it.
I would have been having coffee.
I know.
That'd take a while.
And so, once we hit 11 o'clock, we're gonna push hard into what I call the focus areas, which is helping you think through where you need to be, all right? The other preface to this is, Caroline and I have looked at a lot of the material that Anne Marie sent us from the 2019 and the 2020 list of priorities, the 2020 council meeting, and then we've looked at, the other work we did on the other night was the comp plan. A lot of the work that you're going to do today could and would be found in what's called a strategic plan. Okay, you do not have a strategic plan. So I'm just kind of, I'm kind of benchmarking that right now because I know Anne Marie's going to mention it. Carol Ann and I just had the privilege of working with Milford. And IPA, the group that we're affiliated with, we're both senior fellows with the University of Delaware's Institute for Public Administration, did do Milford's strategic plan. So when we were working with them, we had the opportunity to not only see their comp plan, which has those required elements in it, economic development, things like that, but really doesn't drill down into those things, but we also saw their strategic plan. And essentially that, it's a world of difference, because right then you're looking at some of the concrete items, which you have, but not in a kind of a strategic plan format. So a lot of this stuff is going to sound like you're developing a strategic plan, but you're not. You're really doing your project review. Fair enough, and I just wanted to kind of put that in there as, what would you call it? A bullet? A bullet. We'll put it in there as a bullet. And then after that, we'll end in a discussion. So if you're sitting there befuddled, there'll be a discussion at the end of the day where you're going to say, what the hell just happened? Fair enough?
Yep.
All right. You good? All right, good. So what we'll do is, the one handout that Anne Marie sent you, actually that you all generated, so go to the one that starts with your comments.
Right, it's got December 9th, 2021 in the top right corner.
Yeah, so the way that I see this piece is, one, your comments. Second piece is priorities by staff. And the third piece is kind of an operational review plans. So what I'd like to do now is, we're going to do the priorities submitted by staff. And the way that I'm going to, is everybody okay with this?
Yes.
You're on page 2, halfway down, priorities submitted by staff. So instead of doing deck by PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna run this in 5-minute segments. So what I'm gonna do is pretty much, I'll read the bullets, period. And then you folks have 5 minutes for questions for Janelle. Make sense?
And Janelle's not here, so I will do my best to answer the question. I mean, Janelle and I have certainly talked about these things, so.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like just hitting, boom, 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 because what we're doing is setting the stage. This is essentially for you to get a bigger, a broader, in-depth of what's going on in town, what the staff thinks about, because as we move into the second portion, it's gonna be your opportunity to start thinking about, wow, what are some, we know what's being done now, what are some of the things we have to think about down the road?
This very much falls in line with strategic planning. It really does.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really,
right.
yes.
But this is more board strategic planning rather than community-wide strategic planning, so they're a little different. This is more kind of strategic planning for our work plan rather than,
For the overall.
right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and and Anne Marie, I think, has that piece too, because you just had a very significant survey done,
Which I'll share.
which is pretty cool. All right. Is we okay?
Yep.
Sure.
So we're going to do a 5-minute clock. If the question's a good one, then we're going to roll. It's just going to be me. I'm just going to make sure we come out on the other end at the right time.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Not only the time, but also with the good results. Thank you.
You got it. All right, so look, so Janelle, so 1, these are her priorities, right? She needs a comp plan, 5-year review, move toward adoption of the subdivision code, utilized GIS throughout the planning department, finalize work with the annexation zone subcommittee, training, lot coverage, calculations, plot plan review, etc. All right, so any questions for Anne Marie regarding that? This is where your planning department's gonna be, this is what they're focused on.
What is GIS?
GIS is Geographic Information System, so that's integrating databases with maps.
Maps,
So it's
that's
a
what I
very
thought.
powerful tool to be able to do stronger analysis and look up information.
Okay.
And it's also, I think, a recognition too, when you look at each of these, there may be financial ties that are necessary in order to
Right.
do GIS throughout the department. So appreciating that these are priorities and all the aspects that come with it to actually come to fruition may also be part of your prioritization process that we go through in the next half of this.
Right.
effort.
And just to, that's a really good point. Part of the reason that the first couple of meetings like this we did in, I think, like February timeframe. We've moved it up to be ahead of the budget meetings, and as we're trying to put the budget together, because some of these priorities have price tags. So we need to know, as we're putting a draft budget together, where the financial things are.
Same for training. So is that infer, you think, internal or a combination of external and internal trainings?
What Janelle's referring to in this is that she has been performing training for in-house staff on a number of things. So she's done, I'm trying to think, she's done training with all of the administrative staff on iCompass. What's that? The website, so to help to distribute the work of keeping the website up to date. And to that end, she's also working with the building department and Chelsea, who kind of straddles both building and finance, to do training on the lot coverage, plot plan review, and some other kind of zoning administration things, so that we have a very clear, consistent trained staff on that.
I think the one thing that is implied probably in Janelle's comments, but certainly needs to be focused on, is community education of the things that we adopt here. So whether it has to do with subdivision code or annexation information, I think one of the things we struggle with because of the transient nature of our population is how do we communicate? And I think that has financial implications, because getting that information out is going to be important. Because I think one of the things that Robin suffers with and we suffer with at council level is people don't understand what the code says, even though it's online. How do we get that information to the public? So,
One of the things that the BPW mentioned last night were the use of door hangers.
they're doing that.
How does that, is that,
It's a new
like guy walking around, putting them on?
That's a new strategy for them, and it's really being done like as they're doing this water upgrade on Pilot Town Road. They're doing door hangers to tell people what's coming.
What's going on?
When they're going to be disrupting their water service. It's very labor intensive.
Yeah, absolutely, but
It's labor intensive, and I think it can be effective, but one of the concerns that I would have about doing that too widely is if you have absentee property owners and they're not there for a long period of time, then that starts to, blows away, and now it's litter flying around in our community.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things I'd like to speak to is, if I remember correctly, Janelle's title is planning and economic development, or planning
And development.
and development. And development is a very broad term, and it can include economic development. And I don't see any bullet that actually includes any kind of consideration for that.
At this point, she hasn't been assigned any economic development responsibilities, so that could be something that comes out of today.
Right, but wouldn't it be the case where an applicant, I'll call the person a developer, would walk into City Hall and want to have a discussion about what is possible, what our interests are as a council, what our interests are as a community, and is she able and willing and prepared to have those kinds of, and represent the city?
So at this point, I mean, that's the comprehensive plan is the tool to communicate that, because that's the adopted policies.
Right.
So I think beyond the comprehensive plan and any clear policy direction from mayor and council, I think it would be inappropriate for her to have the conversations about what the city wants, because it would be kind of conjecture and.
Okay,
Well-
So Tim, here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
It's a good point. These are the priorities, and I can assure you that economic development will be a much larger piece of the conversation
Okay.
later on today. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, good. But it's good questions. That's the way we want to go. Hit the priorities, questions on the priorities, and then we'll just drive forward.
Emery, I have one more question about the GIS, just with respect to planning. for budget, et cetera. And again, I think the BPW, are they using this?
They-
And is there an opportunity there to share in this?
They use
They use
GIS, and they, Josh maintains their GIS
Yeah.
data for them. I think their applications are different. You know, one of the things that we did under contract with the University of Delaware through Nicole Minnie was we got our zoning map up to date, and this was back when Tom was there, and Janelle has kind of moved that to the next level where the interactive zoning map is available online. So it's those types of things and one of the things that Janelle did when she was at Sussex County is she maintained an interactive zone, or an interactive map that was available to the public through the map viewer on the Sussex County website to monitor development applications. And I think that those are the types of things, but all of that, I mean, I think we have the software, it's a staff time issue.
All right, good. I'm going to move. Okay?
Please.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a list from Ellen, a capital improvement plan to also include asset listing, continuation of financial policies to include cash handling, reserves, and asset disposition, revenue streams to include revising short-term rentals and identifying other possibilities, parking plan to include Lewis Beach and the transit program, and implement modules of MCSJ, work order, and other, I guess these are other administrative tools.
Correct. Yes.
MCSJ, was it?
That's our accounting system, but we also track building permits in that, as well as business licenses.
Oh,
Why don't
thanks.
you mention what RSS is so they know that? 'Cause that's important.
RSS is resident self-service. This allows residents to go to our website and submit if they see a pothole, if they see something that doesn't look right, they can submit an inquiry and it will get funneled to a staff person who will look into it and be able to respond. The property owner submitting that can also track the status of that. Has it been looked at by a staff member?
Is that active? People really
Not-
go in there?
It's not active yet, so
No,
that's why it's
yeah.
one of her priorities to get it.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
So-
Good communications effort.
Yes.
Right.
Any other clarifications?
I'd like
for
a
Ellen?
clarification on the first bullet, the asset listing. Is it appropriate to ask the status at this time or just a question? What do you as facilitators want?
That's fine if we need to clarify.
Okay, would you just clarify what that?
So that has been a question that council's been wanting, is an asset listing. And we have been going through our audits and just going off of what the auditor says. So this
Right.
would be more of a proactive of putting it on the list prior to the auditors reviewing, and then tracking the useful life and when we need to look at replacement.
So is the practice now that when a asset is acquired, that it is deployed immediately without it being assigned any kind of a tracking asset, barcode or anything like that? Do
Right
we-
now, we know where each asset that's been acquired is. A lot of our larger purchases are very easily identifiable. It's more on the useful life of those assets.
Right.
I think that's one of the issues that we've been talking about is what is the functional, useful life
Yes.
of equipment, particularly equipment, not necessarily buildings, but.
No,
equipment.
no, the tools and so forth that,
Whether it's
everyone
vehicles
uses.
or it's computers.
Computers, whatever, shovels, whatever, yeah.
Any other questions?
I think these are great, because two of them, they were the same ones I had. I just say, I'd be open to discussing with you some ideas around the revenue streams and things like
Awesome.
that.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that, thank you.
Well, I think the finance committee is already working on some of that, so
Yep.
I think you have a good finance committee at this
Yes,
point.
absolutely.
They are working on ways to identify those streams and look at some of the potential revenue things that we're perhaps missing out on.
Yes.
The other thing I would just put in as a bullet point in this interactive portal is we've talked about maybe making more transparency around what permits that are out there and things like that. But things like, I think the county maybe have systems like that, so
You're
that would
speaking of
eliminate
like-
some of the phone calls of people saying, what's happening at
Right.
Right.
860.
And would that be part of, is that number 5? Would that kind of
Yeah,
thing be
that's what-
addressed in
yeah.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess we'd need to find out if RSS, or if Edmunds has a,
Yes, it would
Mechanism to
be
do
an
that.
interactive part on their end.
Correct.
All right, good?
Yep.
So from Robin Davis Building, training and certification for staff, update, clarify, and alignment of codes/ordinances, provide easier access to relevant codes and documents through the city website, improve outreach and education for FEMA and climate-related issues, streamline and clarify processes.
That's a big one.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Did you bring your magic wand?
Robin, I had a similar question I had for Janelle. It's like, for training and certification, are there sources, or do you foresee some benefit maybe into having some similar to like a group like this, and doing someone from the outside bringing in some training, or?
Well, most of our training would be done through the ICC, which is the building codes, and through our floodplain management section, which is the Association of State Floodplain Managers. So they are outside sources. They have webinars. DEMA has some stuff. So there are webinars, seminars. Now that COVID, I don't want to say he's kind of dropped down, they're actually doing a lot of in-person classes and stuff, which used to be virtual. So yes, most of that, the certifications would be done through an outside source.
And are those classes available locally, the in-person ones, or do you have to go to a city, outside the state to attend?
Some of them are. DEMA has some in-state classes. Most of the stuff through the ICC is out, is through, you have to travel.
One of the things this is a question on my part. It seems to me that with training and certification, that might also create an opportunity for promotion, within your small group of people who work for you, but it would, by certification, by training, that they would move up the food chain, so to speak.
And that's the idea through the department, and we spoke with Anne Marie and Ellen Rain. A lot of the employees now that are set up at a pay rate, and if they get certifications, they are entitled to an increase in pay. So that goes hand in hand, and to make sure we got our individuals, trained and certified in the areas that need to be.
Yeah.
Currently, you're a certified floodplain manager. Is Steve also at this point?
No, we were talking about that, getting Steve certified, since Henry retired in April.
You're the only one?
Well, yeah, I'm the only one, yes.
And what is the certification process on that? Is that every 3 years you have to redo, or do you have to do with so many?
See, once you get certified, you have to do 16 credit hours every 2 years of
Annually,
training.
every 2
Yeah,
years,
yeah, yeah.
I think one thing that I know we've asked you to look at is the building code in terms of what standards are we using? Are we using the 18 or the 21, and how are we going to go forward with that?
Well, that was another discussion we had. Right now, currently, we're in the 2012.
Right.
I know there was a discussion earlier this year, and we're leaning towards going towards the 18.
Okay.
But I think there has been discussion that the county's looking to go to the 21.
Correct.
I talked to Andy Wright with the county. He seems to think their council members I'm not saying are slowing down on that. They're not as pushing that as much. Looks like something they're going to be doing probably mid next year. So it would be nice to be consistent with what the county does. So, we get that all the time. Some of the builders say, well, you're working off this and we're working off that.
Right.
We're on one side of the street and it's the county's regs. And on this side of the street, we're in a different code. But currently, both of us are in the 2012.
I would think that getting that in sync would be an important priority for you.
Yes.
And for us as council, because it will help clarify some questions.
Yeah.
And I know we gave you that as a project a few months ago, and I would hope that early in '22, we'd see some action on a recommendation.
Yeah, and the original, it was looking towards moving to the 18.
Okay.
But again, I think it seems like more and more everybody wants to move to the 21,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's just the code cycles are every 3 years. The new books come out every 3 years. The ICC comes up with substantial change books for those 3-year cycles. So there is some difference in between the 18 and the 21 that have to be looked at, other than between the 12 and the 18.
Well, you're now approaching 10 years. So.
Yes, that's correct.
It's time.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Well, just as a statement, one of the things was streamline and clarify process, and I assume in the subdivision committees, hopefully some of that's been fed up in terms of things that can be streamlined and clarified that you've identified that can be improved.
Yeah, I've been working with Janelle on
Okay.
a lot of these with the codes and stuff like that.
Good,
So we're trying to get things out there so it makes it a little easier for everyone.
Robin, I have a question for you regarding, I think it's the fourth bullet, improve outreach, education for FEMA and climate-related issues. Do you have any working relationship specific to FEMA with BPW?
I don't work directly with BPW on the FEMA related. I know there's some stuff about the wastewater plant and.
With
that's what-
stormwater?
Yeah, that's the
Right.
biggest thing from that end. I've not had a lot of direct contacts with Austin's, but we can do that to try to
Okay.
get
Thank you.
all coordinated together.
Thank you.
We're going to move, okay?
Okay, so moving on to Tom, our police chief, his list of, starting with building of morale, staff morale, staffing itself, employee retention initiatives, facility upgrades and renovations, and a take-home vehicle program. Questions? Clarification?
I just have a statement. I think the last two bullets are probably, helpful towards the first three bullets. I would think that, I know that renovations was one I had on my bullet point. I know that's, it's difficult to attract talent to, substandard conditions in the sense of the facilities themselves. So, and that feeds into then being able to retain staff and, feeds into that. So I recognize that.
I would also point out that these 5 bullets are not unique to Lewis in all the research I've done. I mean, this is a nationwide, issue in terms when it comes to policing.
We're at a very strange place in this country with policing in general.
Yeah.
And so I think there are things we can do in terms of certainly the facility upgrades and renovations and other things. And I would note that some of these items will be addressed as we negotiate the new contract, which work will begin in early January. We're at the end of a 3-year contract, which will expire the 31st of March. So some of these items, we will have an adequate chance to really create the next, how we move forward with some of these things, as it's directly related to personnel.
Yeah, I'd have to second that, Tom, in terms of, if you can take care of number 4, which is upgrades and renovations, a whole lot of the other things will fall in line. They'll do a hell of a job for morale, that's for sure.
Yeah, number 2, I think, is a big one as well.
Yeah.
We're working hard on it right now.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Pretty good potential.
Great. Okay.
Great, thank you.
So Tom, if it's ever bad, just call up Dan Wright over in Laurel, and you guys compare notes on the bookends of Route 9. See how he's making out over there. I figured you did. Very good. And Laurel's in the same boat, but, 20-some police officers, but their police station is in the old fire hall. And right now, they're trying to move into another building. Oh, it's just a disaster. So it is, you're right, Ted, it's tough.
One of
It's
the
tough
challenges
all
is space.
Very
And,
much so.
We're living in an environment where every scrap of land is being developed, and unfortunately, the city is not the holder of a lot of land. Well, now we
Well, we
can,
can't
but
get-
but regardless, it's just,
It's tough.
it's tough.
And I know when I was with USDA Rural Development, we did Fruitland and we did Smyrna. And both of those stations came in at somewhere between $22 and $25 million.
Would we qualify for rural development?
You might have to look at that.
I'm afraid we might qualify for urban development.
I will tell you, and I don't want to get into, there is 3 different definitions
Oh,
of
I know.
rural.
Right.
You
Yeah.
guys, it's crazy.
Yeah, we
All
may,
right.
we may.
We
qualify.
might, yeah. Certainly worth looking at.
All right, enough, so much for commercial for USDR. Rick Melendez, ready? Staffing, dump pad / storage pad, new maintenance, facilities building and lean-to, updating signs, signpost, updating equipment, repairing and replacing permanent fixtures, continuing with facilities management, facilities projects, moving forward and completing.
Rick, what's dump pad mean? Dump pad and storage pad, what is, I'm afraid I don't know what that is.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and at one point there was, at our facility, put a pad. And what the purpose of that pad is, to be able, we clean the beach rake, be able to come back here, dump on that pad
Oh, I see.
continuously, and then we'll be able to pick up from there. Right now, we have millings up at the Daily Market that belong to us. We'd like to get it out of that area and have our own pad so we can keep it there and have our access to it. And that's what I call a dump pad, storage pad.
Well, that's
Basically,
pretty
just-
clear now.
Yeah, to have that pad and have like 4 bins in
Exactly
there to
what-
have different stuff on.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
I think the other issue with this, like Rick said, I think this has probably been on your list for
Years.
several years. And I think the Schley master plan and working with the BPW, we've made some progress there, but I think that's a good point. We need to continue
Yeah.
kind of push forward on that initiative. and,
Agreed.
start to develop that area.
Well, you know, since most of that land belongs to the board, we need to work in tandem. Yeah, and we have formed a working committee to look at that, and I know GMB has been doing some layout of what's there, and there's a lot of land there, but a lot of it is, I think one of it is looking at what is needed to be an immediate access and what could be stored off-site. When I look at that, some of the laydown, some of the things that BPW is storing, I look, and I think, you know, some of those things could be stored in a more remote site. And that's something we have to work out with them.
So,
I'm
Ted-
not sure where that remote site is.
Rick, is your
Wow.
staff number, are you referring to number, like the need for more staff or?
Yeah, we had one transfer over to Board of Public Works, and bringing in people in-house is a problem. And we're having a couple interviews, it's been out 6-7 weeks. Nothing that jumps out at you, so it's the process of getting people in here willing to work and for the job that we require. I mean, not too many people are jumping up and down to get on back of the trash truck. I mean, we require CDLs when people move in here, and they're allowed to obtain it when they get here, but their job is going to be on back of the trash truck. We have drivers, and a lot of people come in here expecting to drive, so then when they know that they're not gonna drive, they don't want the job. But lately, it's even been hard to get applications in here. As
Right.
we found out the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Thanks, Rick. Any other questions? All right, we're good.
Facilities are always going to be an issue. Yeah.
Okay, Janet Reeves, Parks and Marina, Canal Front Park Boardwalk, the Canal Front Park Playground, the Canal Park Parking Lot and ADA Accessibility Walkway, George H.P. Smith Park Pond Shoreline, and the Great Marsh Park Master Plan.
Well, Janet, having gone with you to see some of these are major. But, you know, that boardwalk, I mean, unless you go over there and see it yourself, it is unbelievable how bad that is. So, I'm glad you have that on there.
Thank you. It's a big project,
It is a
certainly.
big project. and
Yes.
We do
But
have,
there are safety concerns with the boardwalk. Aside from just the visual aesthetics of it, the safety concern is priority.
and I think we do have a partner in GLF that is willing to help, so.
Yes.
Good.
I think the Great Marsh Park Master Plan is really important. We're at the 16th year of our lease with DENREC,
Yes.
and we have yet to submit a master plan. We have picked off 2 pieces. We've got a dog park and we've got a community garden there, but they asked for a master plan. And we have yet to deliver a master plan for that whole 66-acre parcel. We have got to get a master plan. I mean, the contingency of us having a 20-year renewal of that 20-year contract
Right.
is that we have to have a master plan in place. So we can't dawdle on this.
No, we're
And
not.
I
And
know there's been work done on it, but we really have to hone in on it and
I do think that the appointment of a dedicated
Park
commissioner to that park
Right.
is a step in the right direction, and he is focusing on that, as am I. So we are keenly aware of the deadline
Yeah.
on this.
Janet, I have a question for you regarding the second bullet, Canal Front Park
Yes.
Playground. Are there needs there that are, I'm not
There are definitely safety needs with that playground. It is an older style wooden plastic playground that really is, they're not being used anymore. We've had pieces of wood that we've needed to remove for safety reasons. So we are, that is a priority for safety reasons for children and families at the playground.
So it's a reconstruction project, or it's not a redesign project, is it? Like,
It-
you're not,
It would be similar to what we're doing in the playground area at Great Marsh Park. So it would be a redesign, it would be upgrading equipment, upgrading the swing set, upgrading the playground structure. I don't know if there would be a change in the dimension, in the size of the playground facility. There's not a lot of room there,
Right.
as you know.
Right.
So I think it's something that we would try to keep in the existing footprint.
I see.
Very similar to G.H. Smith.
Yes, what we're doing over there, it's been a phased project, but we replaced the playground structure, I think, 2 years ago, and then COVID delayed the second phase, which is the swing set and the pavilion.
Didn't you lay some surface, you changed
We
over
did.
the surface?
We did the safety surfacing in the playground structure over there because that was low, it was a safety issue, and then they added safety surfacing to the swing set. So we would be doing a similar project at the Canal Front Park Playground.
Okay.
You might want to consider using national safety to come and do an inspection of the playground. That's how the playground at H.B. Smith got removed.
Okay.
Because they came and evaluated it and said it was too dangerous to be utilized. And that might be a tool that help. But I do think that the community interest in that park, and I see it because of where I live, I see that park being utilized a lot. I do think community interest and support for new equipment there would be very strong. And so while it's a funding issue for the city, between what's available grant-wise and what might be available from the community, I think that project could be moved along pretty quickly. So I support the idea. Let's just,
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, and lastly, Anne Marie. So, police department staffing, facilities planning, police department in the maintenance yard, developing comprehensive plan, comprehensive policy regarding short-term rentals, development of a multi-year capital improvement plan, and development of a citywide strategic plan.
Speaks for itself.
Yes, there's nothing to say.
I mean, so, and we did talk about the citywide strategic plan when we budgeted for the National Community Survey, and I do have a copy of the report
survey?
to share with you.
Oh, wonderful, thanks.
So I'll give that to
I
you.
do have a question. I mean, what's the difference between the fourth and fifth bullet? They seem off, just capital?
Now, a capital improvement plan is really a multi-year budget approach that is looking forward at your capital needs. A strategic plan is really a quality of life, and it really, as Bill said, like in Milford, this exercise in Milford that they do every year, didn't you say they're doing this too? The comprehensive, or the strategic plan helps to inform the priorities, because it's a community-wide strategic plan is based on public input, and we would develop a vision and a mission for the city, which we currently don't have.
That's what I thought. I just,
Absolutely. It's exactly what it is.
Good enough?
Yep.
Speaks for itself?
Yep.
All right. So what we're going to do next is, you're going to have to be on your own for a little bit. So the next part of this is where the staff listed their ongoing projects, right? So what we just heard was kind of the, I'd love to do, and I'm trying to get there. But then what you're going to see next is what we're doing now. So what I'd like you to do is just, Tim and Carolyn, and then Ted and Andrew and Khalil.
Khalil.
what I would like you to do is skim through what's going on now
Okay.
and have a conversation amongst
forgot to put this.
yourselves to see if anything
And Janelle
pops
didn't have
out
it either.
for you, and then we'll just get into a discussion.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Very good. So just kind of skim through it, chat with each other, tease out any questions you'd like to ask about what's going on now, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at all
Please.
these other pages
Yeah,
too.
ongoing
You're down
projects.
at the bottom.
Ongoing
Ongoing
projects.
projects.
just-
And then, but it goes on for the next
Yes.
couple pages.
Oh,
Right, that's just, I want to make sure.
So I bold
Yeah.
the first one and then we comment, then I bold the second one.
Well, don't forget also, well, we'll be
It's-
done the
Finance is
salary.
finance.
All three of us.
Oh, I see. This is finance and then
County
it's
is
community.
Yeah.
And there's maintenance. I see. City manager. Okay. This is what they're doing now. We're doing audits now.
Cape Hamilton Drive addressing. What is that? Do you know? Well, do you know what that means?
I don't know. Oh, Lorraine, what does drive addressing mean? Okay,
Notice some
I was just
issues
noticing,
along that stretch.
you mean pavement-wise?
No.
What do you mean?
No, addressing.
Numbering?
Addressing, numbering.
where it says Cape Edward.
And
Oh,
you mean it's not
number.
consistent?
No,
There are problems with the way the addresses are assigned, so we have to end up changing people's addresses, so that's why it's a project.
Will that also include, there are actually issues throughout the city where we don't have a consistent practice of, when a number is assigned to a house.
yeah, but we can't do that right now, because this is just talking about ongoing projects.
I understand,
There
but
are operational issues related with the Cape Hen Loop, and so that's why that one needs to be addressed.
About other areas.
City of Lewis, EOP. What's? City of Lewis,
She just said she's done the national community service. She has.
what's EOP mean?
Emergency Operations Plan.
Emergency operations, okay.
That's the survey she just told us about.
Contract update cleaning, I assume that's for bathrooms
Well, that's for this little building.
Send us, did Shelby send us
Person, I think.
or public spaces. I should say. Yeah.
I know, but is it on this list?
Police Safety Committee, financial policies, success, transparency, Sussex County property risk to city.
What's this grant reporting? This the acronyms here.
No, I thought that the chief was.
You want to talk about CJC, CVC?
Yeah, I was gonna ask for that too.
Grant reporting.
CJC.
So we need to submit for some funding and the budget for that, as well as the backup for that,
Okay.
those two grants.
Oh, those are grants.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
thought, they were
oh,
just
okay,
applications.
okay, thanks.
It's just like the ongoing workload stuff.
Okay, okay.
And what do those grants normally amount to for us?
Taxes. Lewis, Charles.
I think right now it's 45 total, yes.
Operation Plan,
1,000.
CDC is
Department renovation.
What is this?
So both of these serve, both of these for the
What is
police
Lewis
department.
Correct.
Charter tax assessment 2.3?
Yes, I wonder what this is.
Lorraine, what is Lewis Charter hyphen tax assessment 3.5 mil?
So currently in the charter, it says we
Oh, the
can only
cap.
receive 3 million.
Oh.
Right,
And-
it's the cap thing,
Yes, we
right?
would need to
We
adjust.
need to submit a charter change for the.
Right.
What's this one here? Municipal
Yeah,
contract.
take about 2 more minutes, and then we'll go into an open discussion.
Well, there's still an Ellen Lorraine's list.
Yeah, well, we're
They're
on
still
her
on the
list,
first
it's
list.
not that easy.
Lorraine had a page long list. They do.
We can't move that fast. We're good, but you know.
Yeah, it has to do, that's the street program that Charlie Donald, it's a matrix that we created, the GMB created to establish programs.
Yeah, right, the one that I wanted to look at.
Which is,
Repairing streets.
Yeah,
Is it from
which is-
Sharon Street? Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And so each,
To replace lights?
they numbered it.
right, and the price, yes. So the 25 million, the first one?
I mean, I think
No, it's just like, that's the incoming priority group.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's streets that each number of priority 25 might have 3 streets by it.
Oh.
Number 20
The
would have
restaurant
2
is here.
streets.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Oh, that's it, okay.
Okay. Thanks,
Got it,
didn't know
okay.
that.
that's basically,
I know about that.
yeah, but
one.
see,
Yeah.
okay, the Fisher Martin House, this is,
We know about that one. That's
Chief and I walked in.
restroom, right, Fisher Martin House, yeah.
I thought
Fisher
this
Martin House
was,
is
I
big
thought this
money.
was supposed to have been done.
Which
First
one,
of
which
all,
one?
This is a private.
Which one? Oh, wait, I didn't get down there. Hold on.
That
Yeah,
is,
but no, I don't-
that was supposed to be done in October.
Emily, first state inspection agency.
When is that installation to be done?
Not till January.
Oh, January,
The
okay.
pieces coming from China that are just now being received, they expect to finish the production
Okay.
around the end of December. And that production is in Ohio. It's gonna be in-
And they did that?
Where is this context? I know there was some controversy over.
She sent me.
They were gonna
Okay.
sort of
Oh,
count.
you have the one for,
I think they're
They're
moving
stalled,
it,
she sent me.
just getting started.
Yeah,
There's nothing to share.
yeah. They did one in, no, 2016.
No, that's in what you did both terms.
Okay.
And not just what you do both terms.
Short-term rentals.
Yeah, that's,
Should be approved on the basis, but also,
What is the,
yeah, well, yeah.
because there's a hell of a lot of income
Scrolling down the bottom.
the lessees and the property owners.
What's this, down here on maintenance, it says HVAC contract? Is that
Write
up
that
for
in.
vehicle?
I did.
I would assume that there is an annual contract, it just needs to be done.
And that because, yeah,
Those systems, I believe, are, well, I know the ones upstairs are new because they were just replaced when they expanded 7 years ago.
What? You think what we're doing is it?
some of this is really in the weeds, isn't it?
Take about 2 more minutes on the list, and then we'll go into a 15-minute group discussion.
I know about that one, I know about that one. Those I know.
Well, I
And
think
wayfinding, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how fast Janet.
Well, that is,
The cycling
we haven't
restart,
even
the infrastructure.
agreed on that, have we?
It's,
To find
I was asked to do that
No,
from
we
the
just know it's-
Bike
it's
Ped
hanging
Committee.
out there.
It's for funding for a low-stress bikeway to take cyclists off main roads through the community.
I know, well, that's, they're trying to pull them, trying to come.
I think so, yeah.
something.
It was just awarded. We got the grant.
we got it?
Yeah.
And how much was it?
Across this third.
No, it was 12. Yeah, because there's, I mean, basically, it's just going on city streets.
anything about it.
But it does go through Pilot Town Village, and there's a curb cut where the second phase of Mariners is. So that's the
Yeah, well,
majority
that's
of
one we
the,
just
I was
did.
thinking it was George, George was talking to us about here, that was off the trail.
I'm sorry, compliant.
We
yeah,
just did,
last
we
week.
just did
Oh.
that grant planning.
That was like 5
Right,
grand.
when we standing over the same page.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
This is supposed to
anything.
be a really expensive
Right,
thing.
she was going to
Well, we
submit,
had to
oh,
A lot of this, you know, is.
No, well, that's-
all right,
that's
well, we'll
why
have
it's
to
still on
talk
here.
about that one. That was the story walk,
Yeah,
right?
that-
Yeah.
that- You know what that is.
Okay, yeah, no, this is different from that. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Where did that grant come from? Is it state, federal, or?
It's
or
a
nonprofit?
state,
Survey
yep.
she just told us about.
Wouldn't that be BBW?
I think we were one of 2 awarded.
Okay.
Municipal boundary review, what's that?
It just came in last week.
I don't know.
What's the municipal boundary review?
That is, there are, at this point, 2 areas of the city where there is inconsistent information about whether the property is in or out of the city. And we have been working with GMB to have them map the boundary based on the meets and bounds in the charter. And there's still some question. So we've got 2 property owners that are kind of waiting for us to.
Oh, I see.
So it's taking more time than we anticipated.
Okay, thank you on
So good. I know there's still probably more on the list you'd like to get to, but we'll just,
that. We can go through it now.
yeah, just figure it out. So we got 15 minutes for just kind of an open discussion on the staff's work at the moment.
A lot.
There you go.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, it's a massive amount of stuff. Now, some of this stuff is near, I think what would be helpful going forward is how much is, like 50% complete.
Sure.
And how much
Yes.
is gonna be, it's gonna take next year. Because I'm looking down this list and we've got a few things on here that we know are, like the restrooms, we could see that they're like 85%
Right.
complete. And so these kinds of things fall off the list in the near future.
Right.
And what's gonna have to be addressed coming into the '23 budget.
Right.
It's particularly important and relevant, given the amount of additional initiatives and priorities that are being, spoken to
That we're
here,
talking to.
Absolutely.
to layer on top of an already lengthy list. But if that list is between 75 and 85% done,
Yes.
it's
Right.
a
Right. I mean, going through and
Right.
just putting in blue or some other color ink, which ones are in works or making progress to the point that, they'll come off the list soon would be most helpful
Right.
as we
Right.
look to what do we want to add going forward.
And I know Ellen, Lorraine, and I both identified a few things that aren't on here that need to be
Yeah,
added, like Resiliency Committee isn't even on here.
Right.
I don't know how both Janelle and I didn't,
But there are
Get
other
it on
things
there.
that aren't on here either that.
Right.
But then I think we could redline the things that we really think are top priority. Like we were just talking about the importance, there are now 5 post lights and, at Beach One that are completely dark. And
Right.
one that's turned, and one that doesn't have the light on it anymore. That's an important revenue source for us. And I know the bid that came in was unacceptable, $360,000.
well, we didn't bid it out yet.
No, but I mean the estimate
Right.
from Charlie. And, but that needs to
Right.
be a priority in my mind. And so if I were gonna go through and say what gets read, although it doesn't seem like much, it's important for the way we interact with the public, that's all.
Chief,
Well, it would give us a
Chief,
reality check.
Yeah.
is that lighting also considered, I'd be curious, Tom, the lighting, that's also a deterrent for crime and things like that too, right?
safety issue.
Yeah, safety issue, so,
Safety issue.
Oh, then there you go.
yeah.
I saw some Verizon trucks down there putting in some, the same things we're gonna do. Did you
Oh,
guys know
great,
about it?
5G.
They're working down there now, did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Just kidding.
I don't think that, we haven't signed an agreement yet, Bill.
You notice you didn't get any response?
Bill, we haven't signed an agreement. You're okay.
Wanted to see if we were alert, is that it?
Any specific questions or concerns on the current list of activities? Besides being able to get a status report going forward?
The one, I might be a little confused on what we're trying to accomplish during this part of our discussion.
Well, the hope here is really that everybody's aware
Right,
of all the efforts that are going on.
Right.
I mean, certainly if there's something that jumps out and says, that's just, we shouldn't be putting any energy towards that,
Right,
that's,
does something
I
come
can't
up?
imagine that happening,
Right.
but if that's true, you all need
is
to
it
be
also,
aware.
is it also appropriate at this point in time to expand on a particular item that's listed or not?
Well, I think what we could do is we can go through the next
Okay.
part of our efforts where we will be additionally prioritizing
Okay.
in your focus areas, and so maybe that will address it. But ultimately, if not, then
Yeah,
there's got to be opportunities for you to continue to showcase, or like the mayor said, this has got to be at the top of somebody's list and kind of how they're prioritized.
Well, and can I just add, and I think, Bill, you mentioned it in terms of your discussion with the mayor, and I know the mayor and I have discussed, and you said it kind of at the beginning of what you said, is there are a lot of ongoing things and new priorities layer on top of that. And right now, I would say most departments are stretched thin. So as we're adding, we need to understand that, you know, some of these, are some of the current projects going to come off the list? Do we just add? And, you know, we needed to manage expectations on what can be accomplished and how these things get accomplished.
A finite amount of time.
Right.
Well, it's a little hard to do that, given the fact that we don't have a status on the ones that you have here. So in terms of looking at it and saying, okay, well, maybe we should take this off, or maybe it's that one stay. I find this a little bit hard, because we're looking at wish lists to me, or things that are
Well,
already.
these aren't wish
All right,
lists.
you're looking
These are
at
things that are
okay,
already
all-
taking
all-
up our time.
All of these are happening,
Right.
right? But we don't know to what extent.
Okay.
And then we're looking at what we're going to add on. You see what I'm saying? So it's very difficult. And if I were to take, let's just take Ellen Lorraine's section. I said, okay, all right, how far are you along on telephones and whatever? So if we could kind of put that in a priority order, then we can see whether or not it's realistic for us to say, well, we should add something.
And I think as part of the wrap-up
'Cause
on
it's-
how to go forward with your priorities that we will be talking about, how to continue to see how these are progressing.
Correct.
That's going to be part of kind of like, what are the next steps at
Okay.
the end of this session?
Okay.
How do we make all of
Right.
this useful, transparent, and continue to maintain reasonable expectations?
I
Thank
think
you.
the one thing that's missing from here, and we all know it exists, and it's going on all the time, is PPW, our coordination with PPW. And that, given all the strife that has gone on, I think recognizing that it consumes a lot of staff time and time on council as well is something that we need to recognize.
I've always wondered about that. Isn't Newcastle the only other bifurcated government in the state of Delaware?
Yeah.
Do you guys go and drink beer with the Newcastle Council and see how they get along?
Theirs is different than ours.
That's what I thought.
It's different enough that it's not the same, yeah.
They also have fire suppression.
You could probably still commiserate.
Yeah. No, it's, yeah, and actually, they, at one point, five or 6 years ago, I'm probably the only person in the room that remembers it. Our relationship with BPW before it got off cue was so strong that they came down to, because they were having problems in their relationship, they came down to talk to us about how do we make it work. So, we've never gone up there to ask them.
So you never know, it could always be worse. Okay, so we heard about the fact that the status of these is important to know in order to kind of have a handle on them. Any other clarifications or big ticket items that you want to talk about before we take a break?
This is a helpful list because I know Anne Marie and I frequently talk about, you feel like you're kind of drowning, what pile of paper rises
Right.
to the level of your attention today, and so you feel like you're bouncing from crisis to crisis or whatever.
Right.
And the general public really has no idea about a lot of it,
Right.
And not that they need to, but it's important, that they.
Well, and if everybody's working hard and doing their job, then your citizenry can just enjoy
Exactly.
Right.
the beauty of
Exactly.
Lewis and not have to be,
Yeah.
present to be complaining and
I mean, that's
identifying
what,
things.
that's
that
what
are
we're
not being
elected and paid,
addressed.
and what the staff is paid to do.
Right.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
guess you're doing well.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, were you serious about the coffee and the pastries in front of?
Yeah.
I think they call that wishful thinking. but
Oh, okay, I was just looking at the clock and I was like,
I thought I put it in.
I'm like, you got 5 more minutes.
Yeah, right along with the
I
5G,
didn't see
you're right.
anybody scurry out looking for the donuts, but.
So we can run down to the station and back.
We are at a point where we can break. Is everybody okay with it? Sometimes the breaks come too early. I thought maybe about 10 an hour to get started and get into it. So let's take about 15 and we'll adjourn. Actually, if I'll take that 15, I'll take that 5. And I'll see you back here at 10:25.
Okay.
All righty?
Thank you.
And Khalil, you said, or no, Andrew, you need to leave at 11, right?
Yeah, I need to, I have a work call at 11. It should only take a half an hour, so I'll come, I live right over there, so.
Right.
Just better come back.
Adhere to the strict schedule. It was 10, 11, 20.
It is the season.
Yeah, got
We're
it.
gonna do that over there. Oh, we're gonna go up and do this.
By the way, everybody, Tim and Andrew were in the room. The BPW set up a mitigation team last night primarily to look at the future of the wastewater treatment plant. And could it be hardened or what next? They're going to seek a grant for a planning grant.
Did their public meeting go till 7:30?
No,
Oh,
6.
okay,
Then it was another hour and a half after that.
You can go make some more.
great.
You like dark roast? Dark roast or dark roast? It's a K-cup. It'll take you 30 seconds.
Doesn't matter.
Go right in the office, it's right there on the counter. Yeah, I even got burned. You put sugar in with ginger brandy, that's Puerto Rican sugar. I don't know why you got it here.
What?
Ginger brandy in your coffee,
Oh.
Puerto Rican sugar.
Ginger.
Every time she'd come up to John Reference Gig with her best friend after my dad died, she used to say, we used to laugh, me and Leon, my mom was always, how you drinking when I cook? And Leon said, well, you cook a hell of a lot. You cook every day. But she used to love ginger brandy. I was like, where?
Here's nothing else, you can stay in front of the stove.
Yeah. Yeah. She was bad. She, you know, my mom just said she don't like when you cook like that.
Yeah, how about that? Everything that I ever had is always done coffee and tea. But it's kind it's, maybe it's hard here because it's not our place. No, in terms of the facilities, we don't have anything here. If we had been up at the courthouse, we could have just gone to our kitchen. Or at least have something brought around from the kitchen. But here, we don't have here. I'm still trying to figure out why we gave up, as simple as it may seem, I'm still trying to figure out why we gave up the garbage room upstairs.
That's good. He even wrote it up, so.
Oh, you mean in the city hall?
In here.
Are you talking about upstairs?
So I'm going to give you this. Ellen Maureen and I are scheduled to have a call with Polko on January 6th. So if there are any specific questions that you all want to answer, as you review that, if you can get that to me by the, I guess, by
Or
the
you got
calendar, that way we can get them the questions.
January 3rd?
I did.
Did you see?
I did. I did. I know. I have never seen her like that. It was, yeah, there was something else going on there. And I don't know who that was that stuck his head through the screen. Hey, Clark. It's bizarre. Right. I know, moving around. I know.
So this is the end results of the survey, huh?
Yeah.
Is there any one page that is a summary of it?
Well, I need to read it a little longer.
I mean, without.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
it, I'm seeing it for the first time, just like you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, highlights.
Right.
I stayed 2 years. Oh, shit. And then it was a matter of getting back.
Right.
That's what we're supposed to be able to do.
Right, I know, yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
They'll tell me about their neighborhood.
Yeah, really.
I am, Timmy. I'm good, thank you.
Everybody loves the police coming to their door.
Yeah, really.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, sure. So just phone calls and stuff like that.
Depends on, a lot of factors, but
Yeah.
he's 2 hours away, I gotta make that trip.
Interesting, the federal government got a low rating for services provided to the city.
He's in
One of the lowest
training.
rated.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't go to Colorado. Wanted to, but,
Yeah.
uh,
We weren't happy that they.
right. A lot of it can be over the phone, but if it's local or drivable,
Not a deal.
for
So,
2
yeah.
hours.
Okay.
Cold. I said, hey, I'm here to talk to your mom and grandma. And, oh, yeah, take me up to your bedroom. Let me see your bedroom. He's like, let's go.
Bank building's been rented.
You have a phone? Let me see your phone. Open
Another
all
bank?
your social networks. He's like, oh, it's kind of awkward. You just do.
Right, it's, yeah. It's just,
It's what it is.
Yeah.
You ever just work?
I'm sorry, Mendo.
I don't know where they were trying.
No, I'm saying I'm having a conversation.
Did I get apple juice?
Well, are you sure?
Well, it's good to say it's a
This,
I think we're still
yeah, just for
muted,
your,
we're okay.
we may make, we can maybe make action plans off of it, but it's just the results of a survey that went around.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing is to look at where it says, in the beginning, it talks about how you approach things other
Oh, compared to the other towns?
like, for example, like our transparency is low.
When
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I want to talk about here, just so you just give you a heads up, is the common theme through a lot of this stuff to me is media, lack of media outreach, lack of thinking, lack of understanding.
Now, we understand.
Almost
Well, that's what I just mentioned. DPW, Tim and I attended the DPW meeting, I think they got this guy, Josh, who's not been with them that long. Go to their website, they're implementing this new idea. Their website is much cleaner.
Oh, I guess that wasn't you.
That's labor intensive. And you need somebody to handle that. Yeah, Bill, we're just hanging in there. I wasn't kidding. I was actually thinking you might be serious. And I was getting a little hungry and I was like, Thursday, I'm like, I was like half serious. Yeah, and I'm like, shit, nothing's.
Not enough. I mean, that's part of the problem.
Right,
You mentioned that,
Or
yard
hopefully to
work
get
and
a
so
fifth.
forth.
right.
So we have 4, hopefully we're gonna get a 5th. But getting
Right.
customer service is the one that we're
Yeah.
hurting for, so.
You're lucky you didn't get mugged, you know, because we,
Focus work, because they're always being interrupted, so you have to factor that.
If you can have that distraction and
Yes.
all the time,
Yes.
bringing.
I know it does me.
Oh, yeah, and you're talking about money. Jump back.
Right, yes, I do, I have to say, where was I? Yes, but that's great that Some, yes, it's more the applicants.
Oh, right. But part of the problem that we have, I mean, you look at, like, I mean, and some of these things are delegated, but a lot of the things that are in her list and mine are things that we personally have to do because we really don't have people to delegate projects to. Right. Right. But then, like, the wayfinding implementation, I literally just have to go out to bid with that, and I haven't had time. So, you know, so it's just like little things here and there. And that's one of the good things about small town too, because you get, right.
Public hearing
So,
that affects your property all on to here, and it just brings them to the city site. And then potentially they could bring that in.
I mean, that's why having a fellow has been helpful because, like, I can say, here, put this together, research this, and then she can come back.
Well, I would think for something like that,
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
it'd be a good policy, a good process to work with the HOA.
Okay.
You know, that way they know they're not,
How would they use America?
That's a great thing.
How would they use
Really? Okay.
We weren't alerted to spend like postcards.
I don't know.
like I said, I have a little, I wouldn't say it's public, I have a little less sympathy for you guys, but people are, and they know.
I'm okay. Ask your colleagues.
You know, but nonetheless, I do think it's incumbent upon us to be open and pushing information out as much as possible.
I think moving to a, I'm good.
I'll take coffee, but I don't, you don't.
Well, and at this point, we don't even have a place to put. If we hired anybody else, we don't have a place to put them.
Yeah, they're suspended from the ceiling.
I'm taking one.
So,
I'd like a glass of water.
but that's where, and
But
we
I could
did
get that
facility
here.
renovations
I mean,
a few years ago, and we added, what, 2 or 3 more spaces? And we thought that that would get us through another 5 years, and it's tough. Right?
You're right.
Right, and the expectations of the community are very high.
You were budgeting,
So-
words for.
Well, you know,
So,
you said it all.
you know, we tried
you introduced
to meet
yourself
the
and you said
expectations.
when we got elected, so there was nothing else for me to say.
Upstate New York, right outside of Albany.
Yes,
Yeah,
we don't have this.
since
Yes,
2015.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Station's the closest. Station's the closest.
Well, Barry
Station on
retired,
And
and we had talked about moving
so it's
out
relatively
of New
new
York
start, and so
wanted to
they
be
evolved
near
to using an app or.
and water. So we had the conversation. I said to him, I was pretty sure we were. And then would make sure, I'm gonna say.
Yes.
We had that same thing with the streaming
So we
of
did some
meetings.
research.
We had a really controversial Board of Adjustment hearing that lasted almost 6 hours, where the first 45 minutes, I'm getting angry emails and
Yeah, my
texts
brother moved
saying,
New
the
Hampshire.
audio's bad, we can't hear, and it's like,
Other reasons as well,
Right.
taxes, you know. But see,
and we were able to, I mean, we had to take a recess, we had to
And
accommodate
Barry
it,
would come down
and
here to
it turned out, I
the
think,
first
the
time.
issue I think that we figured out is we're connected to the network here for Zoom through Wi-Fi, but we're hardwired for our
Sure, you know, I mean, I could go to Manhattan and see the same thing.
YouTube stream. So if people are on Zoom, sometimes the audio is distorted.
Yeah, and I was like, it's a concrete jump.
And people are comfortable with it now.
So I would have preferred to
Yes.
move to Massachusetts.
Right, I mean, but that, and that's part of the problem, we
That's
don't
why I
have,
came down to Ocean City.
and it's like,
But, so we were driving back.
right?
And
Oh, when we were,
And
do you remember, this is when we first started on Zoom, and we were all home, and we were in a public meeting, went into executive session, and I somehow
yeah,
forgot
so
to stop
he,
streaming.
when we got back, he was out on.
And then I'm like freaking out, well, at that point, it was early in the pandemic, so my college son was home, and I'm like, yeah, he's an IT major, so he's like, calm down. Right.
No, yeah.
He actually was really good, because he could tell I was about to like lose it.
I thought we were No, that's okay, keep your own.
Well, I think Carolyn has one, you have one.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. You had to have
Okay, so now we're gonna change gears. We've had a good look at the operations of the town, priorities of staff, and what they're working on now. Now we wanna move a little bit more into kind of looking into the future. So prior to this, the council were sent a kind of a wish list. Give me your 3 to 5 issues, priorities and what you saw was important. What I've done, arbitrarily so, and I will beg your forgiveness now on that, is I have dropped them into 3 large categories, if you will. Categories are facilities maintenance, or just facilities management, transportation, and economic development. I deliberately left off resiliency because right now you have an ongoing study, fairly extensive, a lot of hands-on work, and you're gonna get the results of that, you know, in the near future. So resiliency for our exercise today, I kind of parked that. So what I would say that, you know, and there are other issues that council prioritized, affordable housing, there's some others in there that I may or may not have missed. While we're in this exercise, what I would suggest is that you tuck your pet issue into one of the 3 categories. You all know how to do that, right? Affordable housing, oh, we'll tuck that into economic development. Oh, you know, resiliency. But at this point in time, I would just park your resiliency piece because that's going to come up in the larger study, which from what I gather is a rather hands-on and intense, citizens-based, diverse group, working group, things like that. Is that fair enough with everybody? Can you do that?
Yep.
So what I'd like to do is, so this is going to be a 2-part exercise. First, I would like, and we're going to be working in small groups now, we're going to be moving around a bit. We're going to bring in, council is going to work with staff. Is that fair enough with everybody?
Yep.
So we're going to do 2 parts. First, I want a characterization of what does it mean if we have a really good facilities management program? What does it mean if we figured out transportation? How will people feel? How will we know we got this thing right? Economic development, kind of, what does that mean? What does that mean in a town that's pretty much perking along here, right? But what does economic development mean? Is it business retention and expansion? Is it new businesses coming into town? Who knows? So I want to spend a little time characterizing that. And then what we'll do is we'll move into an exercise where we start to think about the things that we can do to get there. Again, very much like a strategic plan, but this is the opportunity where you get to move. Well, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. This is a short term, this is a long term thing. At the end of the day, I want you to prioritize the 3 to 5 big ticket items that rise to the surface, both long and short term. Fair enough? You do have a piece. What I've done is there's a piece in front of you called the process agenda, which, you know, you don't have to get into the weeds, but it kind of helps Carol Ann and I figure out what we're supposed to be doing. So now everybody knows what we're supposed to be doing. So don't worry about that, but I will refer to it kind of as for the direction space right here.
Okay.
Everybody clear?
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is I would like, for this first part, for the council to work in an area that you like. So, Tim, I'm hearing and did hear fairly strong economic development interest from you. So what I would like you to do is to work on the economic development piece. Make sense? This is kind of like, in the facilitation world, you vote with your feet. So you go to the place that you like to work on. So let me see hands with council. Who wants to work, where would you like to work? Economic development?
Transportation?
Transportation,
That's two, you're done. That's it. Look, door shut on that one. Anybody for, what was the next one?
Facilities.
What should we call it? Facilities management?
I would just say facilities.
Let's call it facilities. Ted's in facilities. So, Andy, you get to pick, Andrew, you get to pick facilities or economic development.
I'll work on economic development.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. That's okay, so what do I got here?
2 for economic development, 2 for transportation, and
1 for
facilities.
All right, that's good. It's scary. You can just hear how things are just not gelling up there, right? It's scary. I know. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We'll go, Anne Marie, you'll be 1,
1.
2.
2, 3,
3.
and then 1, 2, 3. Okay? So Carolyn, you're what now? You're transportation. So 1s, go with transportation, sit next to Carolyn. All right? So Carolyn, no, actually, why don't you slide up there?
Oh, yeah.
Do we need the flip charts, though?
Not yet.
Oh.
no, I think I'm better going that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So who are the 2s? 2s, you're gonna sit down with Tim. Tim, I think you can stay right there.
And we'll move.
And because, you know, your other counselor are gonna go to where you're gonna go. And Ted, you just slide down to that one.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay? Yep. So, all you guys, you just get in your small
No,
group right now
I'm
so I
with,
can
you
see
get
what we
me.
have.
Your lucky day.
All right, Carolyn, just slide up one more, so we just
Oh.
keep it tight. Just so you don't step on each other's voice.
Yep.
And then what we might do. So we've got Khalil and Robin. I'm gonna.
Did everybody remember your numbers?
What is,
You didn't even give us a hand fill.
I'm gonna
I
look-
hope we can still remember 1, 2, 3.
This is how we test our groups.
Used to the kids, right?
Do we have a form that we're supposed to be
My
filling out too?
satchel's
Oh,
as big as
that's it, okay.
That's what that is.
All right, so here's your test. Yeah,
It's up to you.
that's good. All right, is everybody down? Are you down? Are you seated? Are you ready for the instructions? All right. So on this sheet right now, you've got this little handout here with the black line. It says focus area outcomes, what would people see, how would people feel, how would people's lives be different? So your strategic opportunity is you write in transportation. Tim, you write in economic development. Facilities over here, Ted, or near group. So what I'd like you to do is individually write down, answer those questions. How would people feel? How would people's lives be different? We're just trying to characterizing what we mean by transportation. What does it look like? It works. People feel good. People can get around. They're not angst anymore. I can get through the light without 3 traffic changes. You're not fixing it. This is not the place where you list things to do. This is the place where if you got it right, you write down what that looks like. Does that make sense? This means that in 5 years, if you went back and you looked at this document, you can kind of figure out that you got it right, or you still have a lot of, someplace to go. So a couple characteristics if you got it right. Make sense? do it to yourself, write it down yourself, and then share what you've got and give me a composite. Got it?
This is not a team.
So this is individual right now.
Individual. Right,
Yes, individual writing and then compare notes.
okay.
People, you mean employees, citizens, either?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. No, just put a couple of words there, that's all. Just need to put a couple of words. You know, transportation, what are you gonna say? We need it, convenient. That's what I got. I think we can. No, see, that's you, see. No, that's okay, shoot. We'll bring her along.
He knows me.
We know how to handle, you know, it's always gotta be worn up, you know.
He did it too.
You do? Oh, good, hey, how's that good? Here's the normal people, right here. Here's the normal, we don't know what these two are.
They're already going to the end.
That's all right.
It is still right.
We moved ahead.
We took us 2 minutes, we were 3 words, we're finished. Okay, here we go. All right. Well, it's funny, this is a real baby at the time. I don't know if you know or not, but we're really working very hard to make sure.
And a parking.
And the whole thing is part of the whole, so we've been very involved with
So I
it.
think once we've gotten something, then we can talk about it.
Right.
In terms of your parking, when it comes
I'm just making notes to myself of what I want to say, that's all.
That's part of the scope of what we're looking at.
yeah, I would think so at this point.
Well, I think a permit or any kind of fee is important because it makes it consistent with everything else.
Yes.
That's one of the problems. I was going to park.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go.
You pay to park at the crowded parking lot.
Right. And send it back. So I think.
Well, when people go on vacation, they go folks in your pocket, they don't have much else to park.
I think we
Would you have a place to park?
It's gonna be to help me. Parking enforcement.
Enforcement.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not considered.
Oh, yeah, that's their main resident.
Well, it should be in Brogan still, isn't it?
Rehoboth has like 5 or 6 million a year in
I
revenue.
mean, this is like, so, I'm really disappointed because we're talking about transit, parking, and stuff. This stuff is not just about convenience, safety, and it's about a revenue.
Well, I didn't think of it from a I really,
Are you doing the success, are you all doing the success metric too? Because I'm not. I'm not.
My bad, okay.
No, you can, go ahead, do
All
it.
right.
I don't know what that,
No, I just did the characteristics.
What
Okay.
I would do at this point is just see if you can get a composite, take 5 minutes to get a composite, something you all agree upon, and then we'll share that with the whole council.
Okay.
That is the metric.
What do you you have, Tim?
Obviously, feel better about coming to work, feel valued by the employer,
Generally speaking,
I was trying to understand that.
feel a work environment that exudes
If we got it right, if the city was organized,
and just for citizens and visitors.
Yeah, like if we were successful in having economic development, what would
Shining star on the hill.
I guess the manifestation of that be? What would the city then look like? And one of the things I put was diverse or diversity, more diversity in terms of age, race, sex, those kinds of things. Along with that, there was like a livelier, Tim likes to use the word animation, like an animated town, more people out and about. And then a characteristic I think of that is too is sustainable. So I went ahead to success matrix, but what I mean by that is how long businesses stay, how long even people as residents stay here in Lewis because they're able to make a living and those kinds of things.
Quality of life, health and safety.
Yeah, I thought it was a good balance.
And
Good balance of businesses,
and for gatherings of, citizens.
Yep, that's why I have two mix of business types.
Right.
Provide a safe and
Mixed there.
enjoyable space.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I also spoke to the need for diverse services and services and also greater diversity in the retail experience that we have within the city. My criticism of the city, my concern of the city is that we are taking care of tourists really, really well. But the people who actually live inside the city have to go outside the city to sustain life, to sustain their home ownership experience, etc. And that is not sustainable. As Sussex County continues to develop, it becomes more difficult to get to Route 1, shop along Route 1, get your services out there. So I'd like to bring that kind of diversity in. I'd like to see us bring that diversity to the inside the city limits. The other thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see where instead of a heavy concentration of these services being on Second Street, that we actually through zoning, through conversations with developers, that we actually spread these into the commercial activities into other parts of the city, you know, and because it's not all, it can't all fit on Second Street, and it shouldn't all fit on Second Street. The rents on Second Street are way too high for a mom and pop store to operate and provide services for the community. We don't have parking to provide to support that kind of activity on Second Street for residents of the city. And the last thing I'll throw out is if, and I am not a showing prejudice here, if annexation is a good policy for the city's future, I think that we need to de-emphasize the residential growth, but instead cultivate, shift it towards retail, towards, again, services, and light industrial also, light industrial. So, excuse me.
Hold together, give me your composite.
I talk too much.
Those were great ideas, and
We're ready.
they certainly follow what I was thinking of creating a diverse community.
See that face?
I'm not,
That's because
you guys, you guys hit it.
No,
I think I like Tim's idea of this, maybe thinking about areas, like if annexation is indeed part of the city strategy, are there then some of those areas we can devote towards commercial, retail, and light industrial application?
An interesting topic, I think.
yeah, and I want that discussion in the public, amongst council members, and also with the residents of the city, It's good. Yeah, please.
I'm just saying, I like what you said about not being for the downtown.
That's true.
I agree that the overcrowding being horrible, that has to be workable, so that if it was perfect, people would love to come here, people could afford it, everybody.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think the Lewis, the city has frowned previously. on
Okay.
these garage apartments and.
Sounds
Yes.
like,
And I'm for it.
transportation's done.
Absolutely.
So why don't we start, we're gonna start here.
Yeah.
Opportunity to
Who would
socialize
like
with some of
to
these older
report
folks that
out?
Want some younger people living around.
I didn't want to make an
Yeah,
assumption.
exactly. Right.
Okay,
No.
so Anne Marie is going to give the collective wisdom on transportation as the strategic opportunity focus
Right.
area.
So our characteristics were comfortable, safe, convenient, and structure and order. And our success metrics were less congestion, less conflict among cars, bikes, pedestrians, easier access to different parts of the city, and reduced anxiety and conflict.
As the ex-Del Dot secretary, I'm all in. Multimodal is good. Any comments, clarifications?
Whoa, nothing from Tim?
Aspirational, but that's where you gotta be.
That was pretty good, yeah.
You gotta have a vision.
We did good.
It was high level and ambiguous enough not to really pick on. Yeah.
You hear that, Tim?
Savor it, folks.
Okay.
I guess in your transportation, were you also thinking about the parking issues as well? Or
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We were thinking that if we resolve parking and moving people safely, then we have a happy world.
We're just all kumbaya at that
Yes,
point.
right, right, no stress, that's what we're going for. Okay, economic development.
I guess Tim's told me I got to talk here. So a characteristic of economic development we identified as diversity, and that means just in the mix of the types of businesses,
Yes.
maybe some brick and mortar, some people working remotely even. A characteristic I think that also then is of a lively atmosphere. So you're having these, more people in and about who are here for year-round type of things because of the economy. And then also, I think one of the characteristics is sustainable, and that has, again, touched on a variety of areas. One is, Lewis getting more of a mix of these everyday types of things that we could use to sustain ourselves as a town, like grocery, general store, hardware store, that type of thing.
It also goes with your diversity, because
Yeah.
we're sustainable.
Exactly.
With a
And then with the
diverse-
remote working is, how can we support as a city
Correct.
this concept of, people working out of their homes, that kind
With
of thing.
technology and the capacity to do that.
Yep. And I think a success metric for us, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Would be, we just got this community survey, so from a diversity standpoint, is seeing the needle move towards different age groups, different sex, different race, and then using this as a metric is your economic diversity now bringing a diversity amongst your citizenry?
So your demographics may be diverse.
Yeah, and then I think the other one is pretty simple, and Ted could probably talk about this as a business owner himself, is how long, if a success would be, how long is that business able to sustain and stay? And that likewise, are your citizens staying because there is stable employment here? So that would, to me, be a clear distinction of, are you getting more year-round residents because you now have developed an economy in a way that's...
And services that they can
And
rely
services.
on.
Right.
And have their quality of life.
And then, along with that, I think we were kind of mixing the two, but I think, in terms of the diversity piece, if, we're going to continue as an annexation as a priority, is bringing in some use of maybe light industrial, commercial zones so that we're not just becoming all residential in terms of what we bring into the city.
And then that affects your transportation if everybody
Right.
has to leave to go somewhere else.
Right.
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 Any comments?
I think
Great list.
I think the challenge will be in terms of coming up with good ideas, but one of the problems right now is we have a food service sector based in terms of economic development. So it's attracting
Other types.
other types of businesses, and that's a challenge because the service sector is going to be a lower paid group
professionals and all that.
Well, I think that's what we mean is, those types of, getting more of those type of opportunities, or leveraging, BB and what are outshoots of what can be done from a healthcare perspective, that kind of thing, yeah.
Well, and there is work at BD being done to, have more training. I mean, I think that the residency program that BD's going to start next year will add to that. But, that's one, that's only one.
One, yeah, exactly.
Okay, facilities.
So our characteristics were having an environment that's fully operational and integrated for service delivery for our residents and visitors to the city. I think a sense of pride and quality of life in the community when people see that services are being delivered in a professional manner from a professional structure, offices, parks, public restrooms, the beach house, all of those facilities, meeting spaces such as this. And health and safety concerns as well from all of the facilities management. So,
And that goes back to the confidence
yes,
that the citizens have in everything else that you're doing.
Right.
You can't get some of the basics done.
right. It's kind of like dressing professionally. So we have our facilities that look, clean, well-maintained, and that services are being delivered, integrated, all services, the police department, maintenance, city staff, and working together. And we also talked about the health and safety, I think I mentioned that. But anticipating future growth and anticipating things beyond our control, climate change, sea level rise, how that impacts our facilities.
Great.
Did I miss anything? Okay.
All good.
So you gotta walk with facilities, we expect our people to our residents to maintain properties, whether they're commercial or business, or commercial or residential, in a professional, in a good way. And we need to do that with our public facilities. It's hard to have a standard.
Set the standard yourselves.
Yeah.
You gotta set the example.
Exactly. Any other comments, thoughts? All right.
Tell you what we do, good, that was good. So we actually have, we're ahead of schedule, we have enough time to grab a snack, if I'm not mistaken. Is that fair enough with everybody? Maybe 5, 6 minutes, grab a coffee, grab a donut, and then we'll move on.
Rick, I've never seen you move so fast. Let me get out of your seat. Wait. No,
I run you over.
The mayor asked, I did say that.
You need to drink that. You scared me, Rick. We're smoking over here. Hey.
And it's never you have.
I do, but I
Yeah. Lots of fun.
Look,
Lots
if you
of
see
fun.
me the way I am now,
And it really feels like later. But they're not, but they're saying Saturday should be like in the 70s. Yeah. So, yeah. Are you taking Angel? Very nice. When you stay local, you go. The other day when I spoke, you mentioned that your husband's in law enforcement. Is he in state police now? Yes. He's stationed locally.
I'm one for the grace.
17 years before that.
Oh.
Is that next year?
Before that,
Zoom. Oh.
Oh, darn. So law enforcement really is his passion. Wow.
and we mentioned it, and we talked about it because we were dating before.
Right.
So
We're
it's
one
a
community.
family.
Yeah. Yeah. I have so much respect for people who go into that line of work.
Yeah, no.
It's just, I mean, God, yeah, it is changed. I mean, these days you're a social worker first.
Hey, Kayla, where's the teacup? Thanks.
Yeah. And the thing, the other thing, I have a lot of respect.
No, she doesn't.
Every day you walk out the door. I mean, my God, there are so many crazy people. That is so real. That's, that is, you never know what you're walking into.
He's done the patrol, he's done the, he's done the property control, he's that building.
Yeah.
So that's his stage.
And what is Ellen Lorraine's gauge?
You know, it's funny because the shipper
May I get you water or
I'm
something?
okay, I'm good, thank you.
I said, yeah, you need the trash picked up?
Right, I got you covered. Leaves, street, crime.
No, but I guess I was misunderstanding the equity law because, like, I was saying it was Friday, you know, building communication, better organization. But I guess that would work too. It characterized as having better, very organized, you know, things running smoothly. But then, you know, they started talking, I was like, oh, let me just shut up and take this. I kind of figured the mayor would like facilities. That's one of his pet peeves. He's a
Public guy.
oh, he's having a this is
The kids, you know, you can't take the kids anywhere. I know. Lose weight there.
You would think,
You don't worry about weight.
you would think.
Yeah, I don't even think I have any more tea in my finger.
You know what, I need braces, because then I wouldn't eat all the stuff that you get delivered to me.
Well, it's a way of losing weight. I got water in the car.
I have an extra bottle.
that assessment over at the police department about the
I
outside.
do.
Where
Hello?
we're not sure if this is gonna fix
Hello?
it. What the hell did this pay for?
Oh, you won.
I thought you were giving an assessment, this is what needs to get done. Oh, it might fix it. So now we're gonna spend all this money this way, right?
Nice to be loved.
I offered to get
How
you
much was
one.
that bill? They tell us this might fix
Good,
it.
you get good stuff when you're good. They give you water.
Nothing happening.
See? No.
But see, that's where we're over there. It's a Martin House,
Are you all gonna color?
and it's all
Are you gonna color?
looking at it.
No, I'm not coloring right now. You can take a, take it back.
Where's the okay?
If you're good, you might get.
So I made this really healthy soup last night, but then my husband made me make bread to go with it.
Wow.
So I had a little bit of soup.
Oh, man.
A lot of carbs.
Homemade bread is never so.
He did use part whole wheat flour.
And we're still alive, aren't we?
We're still alive.
Wow.
Oh, we are.
Do you want some?
Are we needed?
I'm
No.
gonna
Are
say
we
Frankie,
needed
what's-
or no? We were gonna, or we
So glad to come here this morning. I got out of the house.
So, I mean, it was all rushed.
I know, man. That Frankie's a mess. She's gonna know we're joking, right?
Oh, yeah? They're talking about
Well, if he doesn't know, Roland built my house.
it. Oh, no, you won't let me
We're
know
getting
that
ready
one.
to go back, but then we started making fun because Frankie's on there, so we started,
Saying something.
yeah.
All right.
I saw the coffee machine over there.
Thank you for the call.
No problem.
You have to kind of eat your muffin, drink your coffee, because the next thing is you're gonna be standing up. All right, so I'll give you time to
Can we
guys
just
do a
get a
little
volunteer
digestion.
standing up or we're all
Favorite
standing?
colors, are you green? You're purple.
Oh, well.
You're, stay in your group. Stay.
Oh, you gotta go back to your group, huh?
Stay in your group, stay in your group.
Okay, back to your group.
Yeah, I don't care.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting
Good.
Yes, thank you.
Kermit the Frog, I'm green.
It was their favorite expression, wasn't it?
Can you make sure I work here?
I'll have to figure that expression out and use it more often.
Yeah, right?
Use it on Marcy.
Would you use it
that
strong,
wouldn't work with that.
would you use it strong enough to get tea too?
Yeah, I gotta get that tea.
Right, you gotta have the tea.
Yes.
Okay.
We have sticky fingers,
So what I'm gonna do now, I'm going to explain to you what you're gonna do while you finish your muffins. Do I need to do this? All right, here I am. So, when we get ready to go, you're each gonna go over to the flip chart marked with your title, right? And now, so what you're going to do now is start generating things that you can do to get to where you just heard you want to be. Make sense?
Sure.
So this is kind of, and so this is some of the things that you write down this is kind of where these things come in play, right? So these are action items. These are things that you need to do to get there. So the way it works is, you'll spend, I think, maybe 4 minutes on your list. And you don't have to agree. This is,
So
free will.
We're working collaboratively at this point.
At this point, yes.
Okay,
This is a brainstorm.
Right.
Well, the best thing you want to do right now is get it on the board, right? So you
Okay.
don't have to agree, you don't have to spend time in
Right.
deep conversation, just get it on the board. You'll spend about 5 minutes on the board, and then you're going to move to the next board,
Oh,
right? And so in other words, transportation, you get your ideas down, boom, then you move over to economic development. Stuff will already be there, you take a look at it, do you like it? You add to it. Try not to duplicate, because that just gets confusing, right? But just take a look at economic development, something else you need to add, get it on the board, and then we'll move again.
And do we stay with our groups or does?
Yeah, just stay with your groups. At this point in time, everybody's gonna get a shot at everything, so you can just stay with your group. Fair enough? And ultimately, you'll come back to transportation. And once we get there, then we'll move into phase 2, where you do have to do some work, thinking about, is this a long-term or a short-term project? And then ultimately, we'll then prioritize what we're gonna do. Is that clear enough? All right, so, and I wanted to, and you'd be surprised at how much stuff gets generated in so little time. It's, at least I've always found this fairly dramatic in the amount of stuff you can put on that board. If you do run out of room on your flip chart, you just peel it off, you stick it on the wall, and you start a new one. Make sense? Do I have everybody? Did everybody leave? Did I bore anybody? Oh, Andrew went home.
And Rick, oh, never mind.
Andrew
Rick
went home.
moved.
Is everybody done with their, can we start?
Sure. Nope.
Carolyn's holding you all up.
No,
I
come
don't
on.
know,
Come on.
we're supposed to
All right, that's good.
Yes.
So
We need to do-
this is pretty quick, it's 5 minutes, you don't have to cover the waterfront, because guess what? You end up back where you started, and you'll have a minute or two to add anything that you think needs to be added. Everybody good?
Yeah, we're ready.
So we'll put a 5-minute clock on it, and then we'll move, and then you go from there.
All right.
Okay.
I was thinking it was gonna work here.
Yeah, I guess we're talking out loud over there.
I didn't know what to
Yeah.
expect.
Yep.
I'll hear your opinion.
You're right, what we've been doing. We don't all need to write, do we? Okay, good.
That's if you had the e-bike.
Oh, the e-bikes, that's right now, the e-bikes
Are on the trail. Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Well, I think more important, you got people along there.
I think that's well, right, because I don't think e-bikes belong to the trail. You got people walking, you got kids.
That's a safety issue.
And that's definitely, and.
Well, so, but some of the e-bikes are slower than
But it's still a safety thing. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Joe McDaniel has, and I always want to put a name there. This is why it's very dangerous and I don't know why. But that's why we need to differentiate
Oh,
between.
yeah, that's a policy question. Correct. Where do they belong?
Well, and that's, so Melanie has done
All right, now here's what we're going to do. Everybody is now going to, Ted, your group, you're going to move clockwise. So Ted, you're going to go over and add the transportation, everybody else is going to slide to the next group. You're going to look, review, and add. You'll get a chance to, you'll get one more shot at your board after everybody's done.
Yeah, we got carried away there, let's sorry about that. I think it was like, come on, man, you're on my dime.
Talk to him. Come on, who's that man out of there? Let's go. You talk to him.
Well, what I'm saying.
We got 3 minutes now.
Now we got 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's where I was managing to get anything.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right, and Lewis, that's, right, but like, for instance, Harvest, they're coming in and out.
Oh, they are?
No, for housing.
Oh, okay.
Well, then you want to use it.
Right, okay, well, then I'll choose.
I'm not just gonna put affordable housing.
Well, now they like to use work.
No,
There's no law. I'm aware of it.
That's what I'm saying. All right.
Move on, Carolyn.
Hey, just, if you can, just don't kill yourself.
No, we have no roof.
We can add to the bottom of this, so facilities.
Well, I thought they have something up there. But the should they don't have
Better access, correspondence to parking structure, easier to park.
But it could be because I'm on the wall.
Everybody, hold in your place. Hold, hold. Hold. All right. Good.
Yep.
You got one more?
Rick, you could have.
That's it. All right, good. So, now we need to go back to where you started. Okay? Over here. Economic development. Oh, God. This is how it works, isn't it? All right, so look, you got two tasks. First task is review what's on there, and if something's missing, this is your last chance to do your thing. Add to the list. Your second task is, I would like you to spend a little time categorizing them into a short or a long-term project. See the bars right there? So for those with the new charts, just make sure you got an S and an L there. Now look, the way that I characterize this, and this is why I work so well with the Secretary of Transportation, she laughed at my characterization of long-term. But what I said was short-term is 1 year.
Okay.
All right, short-term is 1 year. Where I went with long-term was 2 to 4. But sorry about that. But look, One,
Midterm.
yeah, really. So, well, whatever, we're gonna use an L for midterm, I don't care, but it's with.
Oh, you still didn't listen to me.
No, I did not, I'm sorry. So you're looking at a 2 to 4 period, just, and if it's longer than that, just throw it in the 2 to 4 bracket and just pretend that you forgot, right? Well, you got it.
Anything more than 2.
Just also right. So look, to do that, so look, here we go, listen up. So this has to be kind of a visual thing. Somehow, and this is up to you to be creative. Just make sure that you draw a bar there because so right here, shuttle. You can do a shuttle. Sure you can. You probably do that in 6 months. So you're going to put an S right there. Got it? Right. Got it. What I thought. This is Lewis, man.
You got that right.
So you just put an S there. Permanent parking, maybe that's a 2 to 4, that's an L. Put it there. But just make sure it goes across. Here's the caveat. You are then going to be able to come back up here and vote. So I want you to be able to vote. I don't, you know how the lines get crossed and things like that. I just want to be sure that you're exactly with dots.
Yeah, that's fine. Is that okay if we dot it?
So
I don't know, should we vote on this? Should it be dots? Or should we do a dot and a dash? Right, you got it.
I would put GL extra long.
Voted by the woman who's
Then come over here and say, one, two.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we want. Reading lines up.
Oh, great.
Like we had a Model T and built these guys. And so you have to. There are certainly
Let's go down here and do like this. How do we get out of this? We'll do this here.
All right.
Now, what we do right now. Yeah, man, we do this all the time. Say, okay, let's go to SNL coming down.
As practices. So that's what I was saying. I think that needs to be more and that's because, I mean, I think if you start, I think we.
So we need within a year.
I think we need.
Funding.
I got that.
I do that. I can't drive down one day. And if I, and at night, I'm gonna make, I'm gonna just.
I mean, yeah, that, it's right. Some people live on.
I've been working with Charlie on doing something, and we've got kind of a prioritization.
Okay, and this is short term too.
Yeah.
Because some of that's happening already.
Oh, that's long term. We already have stuff.
But that's what
Expanding it.
expand what we already
I
have.
know, but we don't,
Well,
we don't
we're
really
gonna
need,
use them in our,
it's
let's
not
say,
urgent to do it next year.
but I think
It's not
that
urgent to have to do it.
could,
It's out, yeah, because we wanna do it, but it's not urgent to do it.
Right, now look at this whole thing overall, and now we're gonna do a number system, what do we think is one, whatever.
It's done?
All right,
Okay, so,
Right, you got it?
Are we
We gotta
done?
do numbers though.
not yet.
Oh,
we should think about it, because that's gonna be a challenge.
oh, what are they waiting for us?
All right, so, everybody okay? We're good? Let's go. It says, let's go. He's driving this, he's driving the bus. All right, so here's what we're doing. So now you're kind of out of your groups. So now it's up to you as individuals to go through this thing, right? So you're gonna have 6 votes for each section. 3 votes for short term, 3 votes for long term, your priorities. So you pick the 3 short-term pieces, you pick your 3 long-term pieces for transportation.
Okay.
Then you move on. Fair enough? And then what we'll do, we'll just talk about what happened.
I need to write it down, I wouldn't remember.
So, now Carol Ann pointed to this, so budgetary constraints, I was going to pick off, there are actually, how many are on here? 7. There are 7 rows, of which you really should only get 6 rows, but I'm going to trust that all of you will be able to, why don't you all turn in your last row to be sure that you don't vote too many times? Is that okay?
Oh, come on.
Okay, I double down on that for those of you who couldn't come up with 5 priorities.
I am just kidding, I am just kidding. Spend some time, think about.
Is this color, which is?
She had more than 5 priorities.
I'm not worried about color,
Don't worry about the color.
Don't worry about
So we just put this next to.
We just asked.
3 short, 3 long, any color.
Any problem. So we don't need one row.
Because they're all gonna go,
Yes, but
this
this
is gonna be cumulative.
I like the color.
Oh, okay.
I thought you meant, okay, so 3 like that, right?
That's weird. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just.
Okay, so everybody,
Yeah.
this is just cumulative. Doesn't have anything to do with colors. You know what I mean? Just, you pick your top 3. 3 S's, 3 L's. And then move.
Well, I got funding for that.
How about doing it again?
I don't need funding. I'm gonna do that, I'm doing on the group.
You just did that?
Yeah. We are so together.
I just think that's like.
But so do I, so. Yeah, all right, gotta go where else?
Pick up that. I got lost. I don't know how many. Oh, we're supposed to have one left? Oh. Yeah, one on the road. I'm gonna go with green because you messed me up. Although she's got green, all right, I believe it. She just stinked me.
You're capable of just a little back.
I know, what am I doing? Okay.
Well, go ahead.
I can't remember what I had. No, I gotta do short.
Well, there's only 3 short terms.
I was gonna say. Well, we don't have a whole, that's not to say.
Made it simple for you.
It's real. And one day, that takes you to short, that's all they got. And now I'm home, okay. Well,
Hey, Bill, what do you do when you have 2 that are basically the same?
I can follow that one.
Sidewalk maintenance and sidewalk.
That was the hedge.
That's, different.
Oh, I think it's different.
Replacements
in your
Oh,
Maintenance, snow removal, that's it. Property
okay, well, I think when we wrote it down, we were thinking more like.
environmental, blue is marine related.
Okay, I got one over there. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Why don't we-
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting, yeah.
Thanks. I didn't know what. Yeah, right. It just kind of come back. I gotta go move to side.
Yeah, no. I actually.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I forgot. I have one. Oh, we need.
Keep the dots flowing.
That could be easy. Plan? Yeah, plan. Timeline. Short term, this is be short term. That could be short term. Oh, well, you know, that's too long. I'm going on this. Yeah, right. Think about, you guys ready to roll to the next one?
They did.
Okay.
Do we go sit now?
Not yet. Oh, but understanding this is gonna be fun. All the colors.
And you get to help out with that.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I would never take anyone's place. When you're done, just, you can take a mini break, because then you're gonna get right back up there. Is everybody done? Yep.
Turn in my dots.
You need all your dots.
Oh, I got one left.
Yeah, those were your problems. No, next one, because that makes no good.
Nothing else, just go.
And just walk back with a piece of paper. No idea. There you go.
Sure, sure.
Trying to understand it.
we're supposed to sit down now.
Mm.
This is break time.
All right, here's what I need you to do. So, one more time, you're back on your feet, I'm sorry. But what I want you to do is go back to where you started, go to your board. And just tear off a sheet, and I want you to, now you gotta tabulate it. Give me your top 3 long-term, give me your top 3 short-term, put it on a separate sheet, put your title on the top, and then we'll have a discussion.
Okay. All right, piece of paper. Emery,
You want them on?
We don't need these anymore.
No, that's okay.
You
Just
want them on the flip charts.
right there.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So what you want to do is there you go, right there, facilities, see that? Then
yeah.
they're going to put short-term, you write down your top 3 short-term, you write down your top 3 long-term.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
It's based on top.
So it's pretty
It's
clear.
not me.
Sorry. The first 2 are definitely.
Here you go. Here you go. So you have shuttle, you have mid-part, and you have 3, 4, lighting. Oh.
Well,
that's 5 there. Wait a minute, we got some over here.
Okay, so,
So we're at 5.
Five over
You got 5 over here and 4 over here.
Oh, we're kind of.
And 2 over here. So you gotta think this was another sidewall.
permit,
Shuttle, permit, these are short term.
6.
And the next short term is this one. Develop sidewalk replacement program.
No, I also get
10.
I am just a rock star.
Yeah, I know, we know, that's what's killing us.
Yeah.
When we start singing, it's all over.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Please don't do that.
That's right, we're not serving alcohol yet.
Okay, all right, we'll give you a long term then, you ready? This one here, funding. Long term, funding.
Okay, so what time of
Sidewalk maintenance. Oh, that's down there. Yeah, that's 4.
So this is 5.
Okay, so that one is additional new pad bike.
What's that?
This one, so you better read it, because it takes a while.
Additional new bike ped crossers now. I'm just gonna say, bike ped, okay, so.
Yeah.
One is implement best practice.
Probably.
Well, no, there's a discussion about adding another crossing.
Okay.
Maybe roughly where the old truck is.
I thought that they were looking at actually adding on to Freeman maybe. Ted's had conversations with Bill about it.
Yeah, I think it's complicated. Go up there and kind of
Okay, that's it.
attachment. You like to go around.
All right. Next. Okay, that's it. Hey, we're fast.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
When you're done, you can go back to your
We're the models of efficiency.
senior seats.
Let us know what you want next.
Let's turn in our pens.
Turn your pens, right?
Well, I think we set ourselves up for that one.
Yeah, we did.
Back to our work, our original.
Anywhere. Well, because we'll be wrapping it up soon, so.
Well, okay, good,
I'm
then
gonna
I'll
go back
just
to
see.
my place.
Was it something we said?
Just something, you know,
You like that, huh?
you guys are good in small business.
Oh, give me a break.
Oh, man!
Go back to your corner.
I mean, boy, how rude.
I mean, Emery, I'm gonna see you in 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, well,
And
me
Carol,
too.
so I mean, I need a break, okay?
I think it's totally unfortunate you guys don't get along. I was really, expecting so much more.
It's not pretty. Okay, what do I got?
Okay.
Did I bring my stuff over there? I bet I did.
You didn't bring your stuff here?
Wait a minute. No, I didn't. It's
I was gonna
inside.
say, 'cause
No, I wasn't gonna take Ellen Lorraine's stuff. I got mine.
Okay.
Okay. These are mine. Okay.
I totally appreciate the good penmanship. Everybody prints really, really well.
We nominated the right people.
Well, we
Well, then
knew.
you're smart people.
Ups. Thanks, Rick. I know. I know. Thank you very, I'll play it forward.
It'll be a budget time.
Yeah. I'll remember you.
Okay, so I'm going to go through and read what you all have organized and selected for your short-term and long-term, but I guess I just want to add, if one of your items doesn't come into those two categories, I think it's still very relevant and important that you keep these, all the full list as some part of your conversation as you go forward, because it's all relevant, but again, you have to prioritize, which was part of this effort. So on the transportation side, looking at short-term accomplishments and things to put in place, the shuttle, that's great. Sounds like maybe you're already working on it.
We are.
Okay, then, like I said, you're all very smart. Permit parking, and to develop a sidewalk replacement program. That gets at aesthetics and safety and walkabilities. That's great. On the long-term side, funding, in order to, I guess, have sufficient funding to accomplish your transportation initiatives, sidewalk maintenance, bike and ped crossing over the canal, to be able to have greater connections there. Any comments, thoughts, clarification?
One of the things with funding that was mentioned was specifically the infrastructure bill and looking to get money from that.
Great, and then how best to use that once that comes on down. Excellent. Okay, moving on to economic development, short-term partnership with Beebe Hospital, review MC District and MC
Marine Commercial.
Marine Commercial District, and short-term rentals. Be able to have more policy guidance on regulations on that.
Yes, that's a good one.
Long-term, looking at tax increases or incentives, housing affordable to workforce, and partnership with the University of Delaware and annexation. Is that all part of University of Delaware or just two separate?
They were two separate things, but they had to combine in equal number of
Crossover.
votes.
Oh,
So
equal
they-
number of votes, thank
Yeah.
you. They were tied. Okay, good to hear. Any thoughts on those?
They're all excellent, I think.
Yeah, right. You did them, right?
Little bias.
I think, obviously,
There's no bias there.
speaking volume to your ability to
bias.
to cipher through the priorities. Okay, facilities, short-term PD improvements, master plan, and capital improvement plan and timeline for those capital improvement projects. Long-term, implement best practices for environmental, new city hall, identified land and space for rent and purchase of properties, parcels. Any thoughts on those? Clarifications? Implement best practices for environmental. What was that?
He was just asking if we would be getting notes from this, and I said, yes, we'll get it all eventually.
Meeting notes, because
We'll
I'm not
get-
taking notes myself right now.
No, I was just asking the question on the
She- she
long
was
term for
asking
this
a
one, for clarification.
What was the question?
Implement best practices for environmental on facilities.
I think there are lots of best management practices that we could institute regarding facilities, community facilities that we own or that we manage, that would be good demonstration projects and illustrate to the community that we're serious about
Oh, very good. Okay.
environmental concerns.
Okay.
And it includes, I would think, I don't know, I wasn't part of that group, but I would think it would also include practices associated with our infrastructure.
Sure. Yeah.
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 I mean, you could expand that into a whole approach to community information, community outreach
Right.
on the variety of places that you've touched on here. It wouldn't be limited
Well, I think
necessarily.
near and dear to your heart, we've done a fair amount of, some things with porous pavement in areas on the beach where there is no stormwater management. And some of it's been in place now 10 years, it's still working well. And we're encouraging, one of the things that we have agreed upon in the agreement we have with BPW is that they would entertain the idea of using porous pavement in the future on their
okay.
projects. And I think those are illustrations to the community that we are really trying to do what we can.
Well, definitely DelDOT has an arm of their department to help in any of those conversations if you guys need that with research and development.
Thank you.
So any other thoughts for what you guys have worked on so far?
Can I
Did you have, was it challenging to fit all of your priorities under these focus areas? Did it pretty well?
Well, I think the one set of priorities that didn't fit under the focus areas, so end up kind of missing, but they will continue to be a priority, are the staffing related ones. Rick brought up staffing, the police department has staffing issues, and I think that regardless of that they're on or not on these priority lists, they still need to stay front and center, because
It's
if
probably
we
a-
don't have the workforce to help us meet our priorities, that's.
And I think that's like a subset down from a lot of
Right.
things to implement
Right.
many of this. If you don't have adequate staff,
Right.
it's going to be a challenge. So this still keeps you at a 5,000-foot level, but once you start to
Right.
peel back how you get into this, is going to either it's funding, staffing, technology resources, the list goes on. Okay. Well, we're nearing the end here of our time together, and so I think we just wanted to give an opportunity to wrap up and see kind of what your next steps will be. I know, Carolyn, you were on point to recognize that the ongoing issues, the current list of activities that staff is working on, knowing where they are, how close they are to completion, is really going to be key to how fast you can jump in to
Right.
some of these other areas that are clearly all important as well on the short term. And then, so that's an effort that's going to go beyond this meeting, and as well as being able to take that information and determine then how do you begin to move these forward? How do they get assigned? How do they need funding in the budget process? Which ones that then will get pulled and moved into those conversations? So this is just the beginning, and definitely more to come. But I think from our perspective, I mean, you have a lot of great ideas, a lot of great perspectives on what Lewis needs, what you already have accomplished. I mean, I know we talked about that there isn't a strategic plan, and that would be a nice addition, but you're well on your way to all of the items as quickly as you guys, came up with your lists. I mean, you're definitely in tune with what's happening and what your needs are. So it was great to see that and hear your thoughts. So, any closing remarks or?
Just want to say thank you for an exercise. I think it's hard to get all of us together for a morning. I thank you, Anne Marie and Ellen Lorraine, for putting this together. And I think, this was one of the more productive strategic planning
Great.
discussions that we've had. And I think that the strategy that you utilized was effective in keeping us on point. So thank you very much.
Well, there's always so much to do. There will always
Exactly,
be
and
more to
we
do.
could spend the rest of the day here talking about each of these items in greater depth, but.
Right,
Uh,
and there's
and-
only so much staff, there's aspects of your lives that you'll be able to include in this, but you're working on a lot of things too, so.
Yeah, but this gives us,
Continue to stay on point with it is how you're going to, I think, be as successful as you can.
this gives us an opportunity to put it to the to apply this to the budget as we get into those discussions in early February, so.
Yeah, I would like to raise one thing that, we obviously had a really interesting policy discussion in terms of priorities. But one note that I made earlier, we were going through the different priorities submitted by the department heads as well as mayor and council. I kept making notes here about community outreach, education, user-friendly, and I think it's probably incumbent upon us to at least start thinking about how we do that, and are we ready for, as a town our size, a full-time communications person to kind of bring in-house, to do things that involve the website, involve press releases, or education, social media, all the various things we're talking about. Again, I know I'm not sure there's a budget there, I'm not sure there's a need yet for that, but I think I just kept making notes about community education and community outreach, and it seems like we might be getting closer to that need.
And it
That
cuts
would be a
across
PR
all areas.
position.
All areas, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be a
For
PR
everything.
position.
Right.
And, I
Definitely.
think right now, probably, Anne Marie could speak more to this, but, how that's currently done is probably just, Janet does her outreach on the parks issues and stuff, but it might be time to have a full-time person.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I will say that I think, I have thought about that, because there are a lot of times when we need to get things out, and when the person who's running the project is also responsible for the communication, it's very easy to be very absorbed in the details of the project and not do as well on the communication. So it's like a constant reminder to ourselves. The other staffing area that we've identified is IT, that we don't have. So,
And that might be a combined position to some extent. Especially if we go to this resident tracking of inquiries.
Right.
That would be, it's gonna be an IT component to that, and tracking it and making sure it stays on target.
I mean, we have a lot of needs, obviously, and they keep coming up more and more. And I think what's extremely important is that we don't burn our staff out. So we're talking about this, that, and the other, but we need to look at it realistically and put something to that, because you take any one of their positions, they're buried, and we are adding to it. And that's, I mean, in its sense, this was actually strategic planning. This is where we are, this is where we're going, and this is what we need. So just keep that in mind. We can talk about it forever, but we got to get people on.
That comes with more space.
Yes.
Right.
Unfortunately, it is
We're thinking
true,
about
but
double tiering offices now, or?
we're going to have to do something.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
We appreciate
your
it.
time.
Thank
It
you.
was good morning.
Very well
Very
done,
good
thank
morning.
you. We appreciate your style.
And next time we'll have coffee and whatever ahead of time.
And tea. The word is
Again,
tea.
if we had a dedicated person, those things wouldn't fall through the cracks.
Yes. Thanks again.
Like, sorry.
You got a minute?
Yeah.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Great, thank you. So, I got your email. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that definitely.
Whoops.
Making me look like the brown.
Fun.
She collected all the stuff for you. Brown knows herself. See, there you go.
You are most welcome. It's been my pleasure.
You can tell what she was. She was up front, full teacher.
Yeah, I was, and in my 8th grade biology class, I got into the back of the room.
So here's the minutes from January.
All the women were behind it. Nobody would be I sat in the back, he called me and the other guy. She goes,
Here's the action taken.
none of those. I had none.
So did I.
He smacked it
I
out.
never got slapped. I didn't.
Church,
Yeah.
prison by electric power.
It's just thankless.
So it was voted to, it was voted on as council. So the pre-annexation had a revote.
And then you go home and tell your mom that the non-hit, she hit you too.
We voted to. Come up with a way to and that's where DPW, and that's what's caused the.